the 24th. So Monday the 24th, game day. United versus Everton at 8 o'clock today. We'll be doing a watch along and a match reaction straight after for that game as well. Scott says, yes, JB. Hello, Scott. Hope we're doing extremely well today as well. Hopefully the stream holds up as well. It seems to be a bit of a delay in it as well. It says I'm connected. I don't even know what's going on. It looks like there's a delay in the here we go. Looks like there's a massive delay. Give me a second as well. It looks like there's a massive delay as well today. So let's see what we're doing. I forgot to turn on the light. Look, it is match day today. First I'm going to say, look, get into the community. This is the best community on YouTube. We may be smaller than some of the big channels, but we are definitely better, in my opinion. So get in there, be respectful to the chat, be respectful to the community, be respectful to yourself. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out, and Steve says, good morning. Good morning, Steve. Hope you're all doing extremely well, my friend. Second of all, look, I'm not a dictator of this chat. Get into your opinions. I'll come on and report the news and some different bits and pieces as well. But look, get in your opinions. The reason why these shows take so long is because I genuinely do read out your chats. I do respect your opinion. Steve is excited. Look, it's match day today. We can go through the squad as well, and then watch along tonight with me as well. So if you can join me for that, that would be absolutely fantastic. So look, get in your opinions about tonight. What you think the score will be, what you think the team will be. Do you think we're going to win? I absolutely think we should win. I do think that we win. It's different on a match day. Scott says, let's get back to fourth. I think unless we get 4 goals, unless we win by 4 goals tonight, I think we go fifth. But look, let's just see. Let's just see what happens tonight. So let's get into the show. So today's show, there's loads to talk about. Ellborg, which somebody has already mentioned in the chat before. Reports today that Neves from PSG United are possibly looking at him. I've got the stats for him as well. I'm not sure on that one. Also, Gomes as well. We can go into a little bit of that. There is some news on that as well. Do I think that we're going to sign some players? I don't know. Elliot Anderson as well. The budget today. Kobe, Manioo and Zirkzee as well. Casa on a new deal but less wages. Exactly as well. So we can talk about that as well. Give me your opinions on Casemiro. The only thing about that, it does scare me a little bit on the basis that, look, are we going to be ambitious? I don't know. So it is quite scary. Are we keeping Casemiro on a new deal just in case anything happens and we don't get our targets, which I think is a possibility? Casemiro for one more season, 34. I've got my opinions on what I think will happen to Casemiro as well once the World Cup is over. Are we going to see the next Casemiro? So look, let's get into the Neves stuff as well. So João Neves of PSG. Basically, the season that we signed Ugarte, we had to basically we gave PSG money for Neves to sign from Benfica. As Steve says there, Casemiro just one new midfielder, Glazonomics. Exactly that, right? It is, and we can get into that just after this as well. So Neves, look. Neves for me, I think as a signing would be fantastic, and we'll go through the stats like history wise. So Benfica, look, we dropped the ball there. We gave PSG basically the money for Ugarte so they can go and get this player. I think that Neves is a fantastic player. We'll go through his stats. His stats actually surprise me, and we can go through the price. So look. Neves is 21 years old, 21 in December, and exactly as Scott says there, why would PSG want to get rid of him? Exactly. Born September, 21 years old. He's played 14 games this season. Two of those were in, or a couple of those were in the FIFA World Club Cup, couple in the Champions League, obviously couple in the French League as well. 7 goals, 1 assist, 6 goals in, 6 goals in the French League, 1 Champions League, and 2 in the World Club Cup. That doesn't even count, but look, that apparently counts this season. Ruben Neves is stats. So let's go through the Ruben Neves stats. So when we talk about this, we always talk about in the percentiles. The higher the percentiles, the better that we get. Scott says, I think at this point we get a link to everybody. We absolutely do, Scott. I think it's worth putting those rumours to bed and putting those links to bed. We might as well talk about it as we do on here. We're very, very logical in our opinion. We look at the whys and the wherefores, and then we obviously judge on what we think, what it actually means, right? So let's go through his stats. Stats. I'm just going to say this now. His stats are ridiculous. They are absolutely ridiculous stats, and we'll go through those ridiculous stats as well, right? So everything is out of 100%. 100% meaning that he is the best in his position. I'd say anything 75 and above I think is good. Hi Tulip, hi JB, hope you're doing it extremely well. So Neves, let's go through the Neves stats. So non-penalty goals, and we'll go through attacking, we'll go through the midfield, and then we will go through tackle. So João Neves from PSG. So we've been linked to him today. Apparently United, I'll read it out. United have been analysing the possibility of signing Neves for weeks. The club have basically convinced that he's the right type of profile and capability to basically help our midfield. Got it. He's a baller. He bloody well is. So look, as I say about stats can be manipulated. The eye test is there as well. So let's basically go through those stats and let's go through it. So non-penalty goals 0.27 per game. That's in the 96th percentile. Non-penalty XG 0.17 in the 91st percentile. Assists 0.1, 58th percentile. Expected assisted goals 0.13, 77th percentile. So that non-penalty goal XG, assisted goals XG is 0.3 per game, which turns out about 88th percentile. Shot creation actions is 2.73, so the 70th percentile. Attacking wise, the stats indicate that he's up there. He's one of those very, very good sort of attacking midfielders, really, really good attacking stats as well. Next, the midfield. And again, these stats are ridiculous. Passes attempted 70.89 per game, which is the 89th percentile. Pass completion percentage 92.5 percentile. In the 80 and the 98th percentile. Progressive passes 5.59, 69th percentile. Progressive carries 1.28, 56th percentile. Successful take-ons 0.74 in the 68th percentile. Touches in the attacking penalty box 2.73 in the 89th percentile. Progressive passes recorded 3.13, 80th percentile. So again, he's very, very, very consistent in the attacking phase, the midfield phase. Now, as Scott says there, Scott says we could do with the Prem proven players, not taking a risk with someone from the Farmers League, as Scott says there. I think that's a valid point. I think it's an interesting point. I don't disagree with you. How many players come from the Portuguese league? How many players come over to the Prem teams want 100 plus? We can't exclusively rely on the Prem players. Contrasting opinions there. Chip plays as I wanted him before when he was playing for Portugal, but he wasted money on Ugarte and funded the Neves to PSG. Prem teams want 100 million. I can't exclusively rely on Prem players. Now, I think those two opinions, before we go on to the defensive stats, I think they're two sides of a coin, right? I think Scott's got a point on the basis that I think we need at least one Premier League proven player. You know, whether that costs 80 million, whether that costs 60 million, 100 million. Now, Anderson, I think Anderson will be around that 80 to 100 million mark. And I don't think Anderson, I think we're in for him, but I don't think that Anderson is going to be a player that we will get. So the Baleba deal, I think that that's going to happen. So I think that the Baleba deal will be the signing that we get for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that United know that he's a player that we can get very, very similar to the Cunha deal. I think that there'll be nobody else in that race. So I think that United will do that deal because there's nobody else in that race. He's young. I don't really think they mind about that age. He's 20. What I think is he'll be 22. So I think he is nailed on. And then I sort of agree that then we're going to then go and get a different sort of player. So I think we get a Premier League proven player, and then I think we go after a non-Premier League proven player. With Casemiro's apparent new deal as well. So I think we're going to hedge our bets here. I think we're going to hedge our bets, and I think that Casemiro stays on a reduced wage. Maybe get another midfielder in from the Bundesliga, and then Premier League proven player. So Neves, let's go on to those. Are we winning today? Yes, I believe that we are. I do believe. Look, not because I trust this team, and I don't. Just because I think that we're at home. I think that we have to win. I think it's going to be a struggle. I think that it is. Look, I'm going to do a watch along tonight, so get in that. So it's match day. I believe that we are going to win. I think it's not going to be a comfortable win. Scott says we win 5-0. I disagree. What do you think about Šeško? I like Šeško. I am a Šeško fan. I think that, if you look at the likes of an Isak, Ekitike has sort of fallen off a little bit. Gyökeres as well. So, Šeško for me, written off far too early. He's a young lad, 22, never played in the Premier League before. Physically, I think he's a monster. He's going to get better and better and better. Also, as well, I think he has no support up front. So I think Šeško is going to come good. Good moaning. Thanks, Simon. Hope you had a good weekend. Yes, I did, my friend, and I hope you have too. So let's go back. So I do hope we win. So let's talk about, again, before I get on to the Neves defensive stats. So I think that there are two sides of this coin here. I do think that we will go Premier League proven. I hope we go two. Gomes could be one of the ones as well. And I do think that there is a realistic percentage chance that we could go simply because of the Manioo stuff. And we can talk about that as well. So the Neves stuff, look. Let's talk about that. So Neves' defensive tackles are 2.69 a game, which puts him in the 85th percentile. Perceptions at 0.98, 49. Blocks 1.3, 67. Clearances 4.3. Aerials 1.04. So Neves is one of those players he's a progressive ball carrier. He's a creative player. I think he's number 8. right? You know, if you were to get that sort of player, number 8, very, very good passing, progresses with the ball. Passes attempted, very, very, very good carrying the ball, setting the play up. I think he was very, very good. Do I think that he'll come? No. Look, we're going to get linked to everybody. Do I think that Neves is on the list? Yes, he is. Do I think PSG will sell him? Probably at the right price. But oh god, I'm yawning. But do I think that Neves is realistically going to come? No, I don't. So I just say we keep an eye on that one. Again, very, very much we're going to get linked. Are we that ambitious club? I don't think that we are. Are we ambitious enough to go and get a signing like that from PSG? No, I think Scott's got a point on this one that, you know, can we take a risk on that sort of player? But Tulip as well. I also think that Tulip has a point as well that, you know, we've got to take a risk. So I think this is a fascinating one. Do I think that there's a lot in it? Not at this stage, but I think it's worth. I do think it's worth talking about these sorts of players and these sorts of signs, because I think that we've absolutely got to be in it to win it. Let's go through the chats. Rather 100 million than getting 70 million. One Prem proven and one non-Prem proven. Scott says we'll end up losing money on trying to sell him. Tulip Play says I want one Prem and one non-Prem. Same here, because 2 Prems will cost us 200 million and no left wing back. Baleba and Neves or Stiller, I'll take that in a heartbeat. Steve says I'm surprised Javi Guerrero at Valencia, never discussed, so young, very established. We were talking about him at the end of last season. I think the reason why we didn't go for him was because Fernandes was staying. That's why I think that we didn't go for him. I think that we were linked to him, but ultimately the reason why we didn't go for him was because we knew that Fernandes was going to stay. I think we will get linked to him, maybe not in this window, but I do think that we'll get linked to him in the next window. Glory, Man United. Scott says we win 5-0. Xavi is not the play style that we need. 5-0, there's no chance. I'll take 2-1. I'll go for 3-0. Shesko will come good. We've already seen glimpses. Shesko, every little helps. Brickwork says, I think, you know, I don't know how to utilise be better false 9. It's interesting. So the reason at the moment why I think the false 9 doesn't work, this is just my opinion for what it's worth, because the pivot is so bad. Bruno doesn't know what position to play. Casemiro is slow. The wing backs are not great. So those front 3 are having to do more work. They're having to track back. They're having to go forward. Now, ideally, in my opinion, what you want is Cunha or Mount or whoever plays it as number 10. You know, you want one of your 10s to almost stay forward, and ideally you don't want them to be completely back. You don't want Cunha back. But the problem is they're having to compensate for the work the pivot doesn't do. You know, not only are they running forward, they're running back. So they're absolutely shattered. So this is why I think the false 9 doesn't work. It's because the false 9 plays too deep. The false 9, in my view, has to be. I'd like him to see him on the semicircle, but toward more so in the opponent's half. But at the moment, our pivot is so bad. The wing backs are not great. That our 2 number 10s are having to come back and do the work of Bruno. So that's what I think. I just think that they're absolutely knackered. Letitia, welcome, legend. Good morning. I hope we do well tonight. How much is Neves worth? Neves has got to be worth. I think PSG are going to want at least 100 for him. 90 odd million. I don't know how much they paid for him, but they're going to want their money back at least, and some on top. 21 years old. I think they're going to want 100 million. You know, they're going to look at the Wirtz deal. They're going to look at Anderson. Those deals in the summer will set the monetary target. So I think probably in and around that 90 to 100 mark. Is Cunha out tonight? Well, according to reports, Cunha is back in the frame. He sustained a head injury, was sent home. I don't believe there is any concussion protocol in place for him. So I think that as long as he's okay, I think he starts. But Amorim may go on the side of caution. So let's see what happens there. But you know, Amorim's a very, very cautious man, so I do think that he might bench him. But I think it depends on Mason Mount. So look, we might see something different tonight. Cunha is back, so I don't see a reason why he can't play. Cheap Play says, I'll be happy with one Prem proven like Anderson, Baleba, and then one cheaper option like a Neves or Stiller. That will save us money to get a left wing back. JB, can you do a show where you go through different left wing backs so we can sign and the status? Yeah, I can do that. I'll make a note of that, and we can go through left back so we can sign. So that's cool. I'm up for suggestions, as you guys. This is your show, and up for suggestions as to what you guys want to see. There's a good midfielder called Fred in Turkey. I actually don't think that Neves will be cheaper. I really don't. I think that PSG are going to want big money for him. I think they're going to look at the market. They're going to look at what Steele goes for. I think they're going to look at what Anderson goes for, what Wharton goes for. And I know they're Premier League players, but PSG are not going to care, right? You know, they're going to say we were Champions League winners. Neves, despite like how he plays, he's only 21 years old as well. So I don't think he'll be cheaper. I think we go for a Gomes if he doesn't come in the January window, and we can talk about that as well. I would rather settle for the ones that we've been chasing. So you've got to be trying. Fred was decent. Zirkzee, I think, could go to Napoli. We'll talk about that as well. Scott, yes, smiling when we lose him. He's better than what we have now. Sadiq says, hello, first like me. Hello, my friend. Fred was not good for us. We paid 50 for him. Stank up the joint. Fred Fenerbahce. I would rather have Fred than Casa in the midfield. At least he can run and track back. There's a really good midfielder in Italy called Scott McTominay. Something, he's tearing it up. Casemiro is slow, but even at his age, he's better than Fred. Between 90 and 110 for a player will flop, and we lose 50 to 60 mil trying to sell him. Garner would have improved this midfield. Steve, I saw Garner in the pre-season. Was not blown away by a Garner. Oh no, it wasn't Garner, was it? Because Garner was sold 2 years ago. I'm thinking about the other player. I don't know about Garner. You know, I do think we have this. Misconception of these youth players. I don't know. Well, we're going to see tonight if Garner plays tonight. I don't know. Jason Brooks says, love the red kit behind you. I had York on the back of mine. Yeah, that one is my original shirt as well. That's my original United shirt when I was 15. The one in the middle is a replica shirt, but it's fantastic quality. The United shirt just there is my original one when I was 15 years old. I wore it and honestly, it looks brand spanking new from the days where it actually made kits to last. I love that kit. I do have a couple ones. I've ordered another one as well. I've ordered 2 for my kids because they love the club, and I've ordered another one for me. Simon says my lineup tonight will be Lemens, Yoro, Delit, Shaw, Maz, Bruno, Casemiro, Dorgu, Ahmad, Mount, and Imbermo. That's not a bad one. Chip Play says we have revisionist history as United fans. Suddenly, Fred, Scott, Alanga, Garner were good for us. Playing for United is a whole different pressure. And do you know what, Tulip? I do think you've got a point, right? I think these players, I think you're right. Yeah, and I should tell you why. Is it takes a certain character to play for this club. This is why I think we need to go and get older players, because I think we need players who have progressed to the next level, right? Who have had the pressure of playing for the Premier League. You know, some proven players come to this club and they can't handle the pressure. There is no coincidence that Cunha, you know, whatever you think about Cunha, he is a good player. It's not the pressure for me for Cunha. It is the fact that Bruno Fernandes is playing in his position. You know, you look at the rest of the players, you know, whoever we sign now, I do think that we need a player who's already played but has moved on and is ready for the next big club. So this is why, look, I think we need to gamble as well. So I think that Fred. Some people like Fred, some people don't. I didn't like Fred. I think that we do look back with these tinted specs on. I don't think Fred was good. You know, Fred reminds me of Ugarte a bit. You could look, was Fred better than Ugarte? Yes, I'd rather have Fred than Ugarte, but Fred should not be starting. Scott McTominay, look, many people wanted him out, me included. Maybe I didn't know what we had. Alanga, for me, I think he needed the Forest move first. I think he needed to go and progress and get experience. Honestly, someone is building and it's honestly shocking noise. So I apologise. I think Alanga needed that move, and I think probably now, is he good enough? I don't know. Is Alanga getting into the Newcastle side? I don't think he is. Is he injured? I'm not sure. Garner, I don't think that Garner was good enough. I just don't. Could he be good enough now? Again, I think Garner needed the move away. Will Garner be another player that will progress? Let's see. Is Martinez back yet? I miss him. So despite what reports were after the last international break, and channels were going, he's back, the butcher's back. They were talking a load of BS. On here, we basically said that he's not back, or he wasn't back. Martinez is now back. And when I say Martinez is now back, what I mean is that he's back in the squad. Is he going to play the game? I'll be very surprised. I think it's going to take him a couple of weeks. I think hopefully, if we are winning, Martinez starts to come on. Martinez will come on for a cameo, maybe 10 minutes here and there. That's what I'm sort of hoping for. I think he'll start playing in games. So I think he's back. But I think we need to manage the minutes. And then hopefully over the next 10 games, we'll see more and more of him. And then Luke Shaw gets pushed out. I don't know what the plan is for Luke Shaw. I don't know if he's going to go to left wing back. I think that will be a complete mistake. And I do think that Martinez will be fighting for his place. So look, let's get him back. He may not be the player that he was, but look, let's try to get him back in some shape or form. I think will be fantastic. So let's just get him back. Plays as I want Anderson, Stiller, and the left wing back. Yes, he should be back. He should be on the bench. Can we get all three for 200? That is the question. I think we can. I don't think Steele's going to come. I don't. I think Madrid are going to look at Steele. I think Madrid are going to do some stuff with their midfield this year. I think Alonso wants something else. I think Tchouaméni could be the one that goes. I think he wants that sort of player, and I think Steele is more like a Tony Cruz type, right? So I think he wants that. So I think Steele goes to Madrid, and then I think the Baleba stuff I think is where I think that is where we go. I think we go and get him, and then we'll go and get a Gomez as well. JS Brickwork says I'd get Greenwood back. Great kits, thank you. Pay 85 for a new black top for my son. Crazy prices. Well, if you go to a website called Club Retros, I think it is, my friend. They do that black shirt. They do that black shirt for 45 quid. And I got that one there. I've got the old black one, and I've got a red one as well. Sorry, I've got the old 92 kit. I promise you, they are all different kits. They don't feel the same. They feel authentic. So I would go to Club Retros, and they've got all the brand new shirts in there for 45 quid. The difference is, because I was speaking to somebody, he's got like a shop, and he does United shirts, right? And basically what he was saying is he goes to the same distributor who basically goes and gets the same shirts at a fraction of the price. So the markup on those kits, I think he says he buys them for like 30 quid, sells them for 45 quid, 60 quid. But the quality of those shirts that I get, the labels are the same as they were. Every tag on them are authentic. I would seriously take a look at the website because they are fantastic. So let me see if I can put it into the chat as well, because they are really, really good. Club Retro, I think that's what they're called. Let me see what they're called. Right, I'll put it into the chat. Check them out. Check them out. Check them out. Check them out. Honestly, you get two shirts. No, you buy two shirts and get one free, right? So they're 45 at most each. The kids one, you get a pair of shorts as well. So the kids ones, you get a pair of shorts and the top for 45 quid. And if you buy, and you can buy two kids ones and get an adult one free. You can buy 3 kids shirts on there. You can buy fantastic, mate. So I would say get in there for that. I'd get Greenwood back. Look, Greenwood is not coming back. Look, and we could debate this all day. The beauty about what we do on here is, look, I'm never going to call out your opinions, right? People have their opinions. We talk about them. If I come back at your opinion in terms of, I think it's wrong, I'll give you my viewpoint on it. Doesn't mean that I'm right. So look, Greenwood is not coming back, and I think we know this, right? Again, there are two main problems for me, right? Number one, Greenwood is going to cost us. I think he's going to cost us in the region of 60 to 75 mil. Maybe we get a reduction because there's a sell-on clause. There's that factor as well. Are we going to do a Pogba whereby we go and get Greenwood back? Number two, I think ethically, I think it's impossible. Despite being innocent in the court of, despite it didn't go to court. So alleged incidents happened. I don't need to go into that, right? I think ethically, I think price and ethics will dictate that he's not coming back. It's a shame. It's a shame, but Scott says for a balanced midfield, Valverde and Baleba. Look, Scott, Valverde's not coming, buddy. I know how much you love him. He's not coming. He's just not coming. You know, I get it, my friend. If we were that club, we could go do it. I don't think that we are, my friend. Simon says, I like to see players who will eventually become legends, some who respect the badge, then just there to pick up a huge paycheck. Simon, I think we are moving away from those players. Wilcox said it himself. You know, they're looking for the right player with the right attitude. Not that you can really know that until you sign the player. I think they're doing the homework. Their wages are reduced now, so they have a wage cap in place. So you know whatever players that they sign on whatever wage is going to be sustainable in the club now. So I don't think we pay the huge paychecks nowadays. So I think we're fine with that one. But again, you know, we need players who want to play for the club. We need players that want to play football. I'm not bothered about the legendary status. Like, we're not going to get legends of this club. I think it's going to be very, very rare. You know, I would say to you that what legends are there like out there now? You know, Liverpool, they don't really have anything. Virgil van Dijk, you can argue that he's a legend. Salah, maybe. Arsenal, do they have a legend? I don't think they do. Chelsea, do they have a legend? No. United don't. You know, Bruno Fernandes, for some, is a legend. He's not for me. I don't think any club other than Liverpool, you could argue, have legends. So I'm not looking for a legend. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for players who want to play for this club. And even if they don't want to play for this club, they want to play football. You know, they want to do a job. And then let's see. Where would McTominay play in the system? McTominay, I think, would probably... McTominay would play... I think he'd play 10. I don't think he's an 8. I think he's a specialist. I think he would play in that sort of... I'd almost call him a cross between a 10 and an 8. He's not a 9. You could play him as a false 9. I think Scott McTominay could play as a false 9. I don't think he's a true 8. I think he's somewhere between a 10 and an 8. I'd almost say he's almost like that attacking midfielder type, but more of an advanced attacking midfielder. So I think he'd probably play 10. I think he could play a false 9. I think Amorim would trial him at a false 9. Yeah, you're getting banned. Yeah. User as a timeout. No, you're getting banned, mate. Scott says on the bench he's a 10 and we have a bunch of number 10s. Nishvan says Manioo and Zirkzee are gone. I can't believe Amorim is doing this to us. Manioo is England's most beautiful cultural player and future Ballon d'Or winner. Nishvan, like, you know, mate, you always come on here and you always have a different opinion, right? As we say on here, right, we don't mind banter. Your opinion, this is your place to get your opinion out. And of course, I will read that opinion because I think it's important for players to come out and people to come out and have a place to have their opinions. I don't see it. I don't see it right now. Doesn't mean that Manioo can't go on and be a brilliant player. I don't see it. With Manioo right now, it's ifs and buts, right? Ifs and buts. I just don't think Amorim likes the player. Now, I'm of an opinion, look, if he's not going to use a Manioo, I think he needs to sell him. You know, I've said this time and time again, Manioo is a young kid and I believe he should get his shot. But if he's not going to get his shot, I've got an opinion as well on Manioo in terms of, and we can talk about that, why he didn't play. I don't think it's got anything to do with injury. I think his mindset is not right. Ballon d'Or winner right now is not, for me, no. I think he's nowhere near a Ballon d'Or winner. Do I think that he could be? I think he'd have to go and play for Madrid. I think he'd have to go and play for a different sort of club. Ballon d'Or winners, even if Manioo stayed here, is he a winner for the Ballon d'Or? Not for me. We will. If he wants to go and achieve something now, I think he needs to move. I think our club is in a transition, and do I think that we could potentially do something next year? Potentially, but I think that we, as a club, we are nowhere near a Ballon d'Or winner this year. So I think for his career, if it's something that he wants to do, I think he should move. Now, also, I think that Manioo, the reason why he wasn't playing and the reason why he hasn't trained, I think that there's a mental problem here. I think that Manioo doesn't want to play, and I think that Amorim is maybe taking a different stance on this. I don't think Manioo wants to do what a Garnacho did. I think that Manioo wants to respect the club. I think that there's a conversation that's been had, and I think that Manioo's not playing because I don't think his head's right. Maybe it is now. Maybe he's had the international break. I'm of the opinion right now that Kobbie Mainoo is not playing because I don't think it's an injury. I think Amorim is taking him out. I think he's a young lad. I think he's very, very frustrated. And I don't think that Kobbie Mainoo is injured. If he doesn't play or he's not in the squad, I think he's been taken out because, again, I think we need mentality players. And unfortunately, I don't think at the moment he is. Priya says, why do all Real Madrid players have 4 legs? Simon says, some midfielders we just didn't make much of a chance. I thought Zirkzee should have played. I could see him alongside Bruno instead of Casemiro. Again, we were coming from a time whereby, I think we signed Zirkzee just to appease the fans. There's no value in the market. I think that we basically signed him as a token signing. And he was injured as well, by the way. Niche fan says, Manioo is the club's best player after Mbeumo. I can't understand why he isn't starting. Again, Niche fan, interesting opinion. I disagree. I don't think he is the best player. He's just not. He's just not right now. I think that De Ligt, I think you can argue Ahmad, can argue, I think De Ligt, Ahmad, I think are streets ahead of him. So, again, that's your opinion. It's a valid opinion. You're not going to hear anything from me said on that. I just don't think he is right now. Someone says, surely Shaw won't sign for another season unless he's a glutton for punishment or likes to keep hospitals busy. No. Luke Shaw is not going to stay. No way. Harvest Girl 1234. Hey JB, I'm just on my lunch break at work. Welcome, my friend. I hope you're having a fantastic day today and enjoying your lunch. Let me know what you're having for lunch, my friend. Niche fan, we should give him more match time. Is anyone he's in limbo? I think Martinez had a very good first season. Now become another long-term treatment player like Manioo and Matt. This is where I am with Martinez. His contract, I believe, is up the year after next. People are not going to like this opinion. I think we get him fit, and then I think we sell him. I'm tired. I'm tired of living on hopes and dreams when it comes to these players. I'm tired of living on these hopes and dreams and hoping these players stay fit. Martinez is not going to last and be the same player past 31, right? He's just not going to be. Do I think he's that much of a game? Is he so important to us that he's going to change the rhetoric? He's going to make us a better team. I think he'll make us a better team in the short term. Is he going to make us a championship winning team? No. I think his injuries are going to catch up to him. He's been out for 2 years. He's not the youngest guy now. I'd sell him. I mean, I know to some people that sounds mad, but I would get him fit. I'd love to get Mason Mount fit. Sell Mason Mount. I want these players gone. I want these injury-prone, injured players. He has been out for a significant amount of time. And for me, right now, I think we need to move past his play. So look, if we can get him fit, I would thank him, but I would see him go. Thank you. I'm looking on the website. 80 for 3 tops is a good price. I wonder when we are going to see Maguire back. This is Maguire's 3rd injury, right? Maguire is going to be good for this season. I think that we should. I'm of the opinion that, again, I think we let Maguire go. I know experience, but when are we going to progress as a club? When are we going to move on from these sorts of players? Maguire, it's been said that Maguire, his mentality is good, right? Because he lost the captaincy, he came back, and because of that, he's a mentality player. Look, I respect that. I respect that opinion. But if we're holding Maguire up as this pinnacle right now of this mentality, it's a sad state. We've had players who are mental monsters. David Beckham, Cantona, even Keane, even the likes of Scholes. To the mentality to win game after game after game. To go and win every single game and come back, you lose a title, you still go and win something. I can't express to you guys, I don't know like the age of you guys, but I cannot express to you Beckham, Cristiano. Beckham after the World Cup was absolutely destroyed, right? People were burning effigies of him, were throwing things of Beckham off of a bridge. The guy got dog's abuse. I mean, he was absolutely just destroyed, right? Beckham came back, and to do what he did was remarkable. That is a mentality monster. The whole team could have capitulated. The whole team was under scrutiny. That team took him under their wing, looked after him, and it was forgotten. You look at what he did in the next World Cups. You look at what he did against Greece, right? To score that goal, the last kick of the match, that free kick to put England through against Greece. That is a mentality monster. Those are the players that we had, and now we've got Maguire. Maguire, who had the captaincy taken away from him, so he's okay now. Like these are not the players that we had, but we've been starved for so many players for so years that these are the players we put on a pedestal, and it's just these players need to go. Scott says, our perfect back three would be Euro, Van de Ven, De Ligt. 2 midfielders would be Valverde, Belieber, or an Anderson. Greenwood is an ancient history. I agree with you. I want this manager out if Manioo and Zirkzee leave on a perm. Grace, again, that's an interesting opinion. Obviously, I don't share it. We're bigger than players. And again, look, let's come on to the Zirkzee thing, right? So reports today are saying that Manioo and Zirkzee are done. I think Manioo will play, but I think Manioo will be in the shop window. I think the reason why Manioo isn't playing is because I think that Manioo's head's gone. I think Amorim is dealing with this in a different way. I think the club are dealing with this in a different way. And I'll tell you for why. Is if it gets out that there's a problem, his value plummets. Okay, we can't have a situation whereby Manioo's value plummets. I think he goes online. We have a situation where we've got an asset. Whether we like it or not, Amorim doesn't fancy this player. Zirkzee, I think there's a myth on Zirkzee. Zirkzee's never looked like a United player. You can argue that Zirkzee hasn't been given his chance, but I just don't think that Zirkzee's going to be one of those players that just just wasn't. Maybe in a different life, maybe under a different coach. Look, this is what happens when we have one coach who signs players, one coach who wants a style of play. If we want United to get back to the top, we can't have it both ways. We can't have a manager support a manager in his decision making and then say to him, well, you can't sell these players because we think they're good, even though we don't see them behind the scenes. I'm not necessarily supporting this, but I've got to look at it right from the both sides. Maybe Amorim is just a stubborn manager. Maybe Manioo right now is looking for a move. But I think fundamentally, I don't think Zirkzee is good enough. In my view, I don't think Zirkzee is a good enough player. Look, if we want to finish top 4, right, and if we want to win a Premier League, these players right now are not it. Right, Zirkzee is not it. And again, towards this game, I want him to look. I want Zirkzee to be a fantastic player. I want Zirkzee to. I want him to be the best player today. Right, I want him until the end of the season. But I think Zirkzee, look, unless Zirkzee has a remarkable end to the season, starts scoring hat tricks, starts playing fantastically, gets a chance, I just don't think that Amorim likes him. I also don't think that Zirkzee, for me, I don't think that Zirkzee for me is the guy. There are some players that some players are just not the guy. Zirkzee, for whatever we think about him, I know there are some of you that really, really like Zirkzee. I like him, but I don't think he's the guy. So if Zirkzee wants to go on loan, he wants to play in the World Cup. I think Manioo and Zirkzee right now, I think are done. But look, let's see at the end of the 10 games whether or not that's true. Nishvan, I agree. I know he won't come, but everyone has a player that they love to see. Scott, agree, my friend. Who's Ellborg? So, Ellborg, let's switch to Ellborg. So, Ellborg is a goalkeeper, and he plays for Malmo FC. 22 years old. Now, to be fair, somebody on here mentioned this before. So, Melker Ellborg, Ellborg, 22. It has been mentioned before on here. I think it could be the right thing to do. It could he be his stock is really high. Another young keeper. Now, I almost think I think it's a good thing to do. We need, again, young keepers. Whether or not he's going to be the guy, Lemens is in goal, but we almost do need these number twos. If he's 22, which he is, Swedish keeper, if we can bring him into the squad as well and have 2 keepers fighting it out for the position, Lemens is the number 1. I think Lemens could be number 1 for a long time, but there's nothing wrong in bringing in another young keeper. So you bring these guys in together, and maybe they try to fight it out for that position. You just don't know. Worst case scenario, I don't think he's going to cost tons of money. Bring him in. Worst case scenario, you sell him again. So I think we are looking at bringing in another goalkeeper. Vitek, again, we've got Vitek out there as well. I think Vitek, as much as as much as he is a good keeper, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to come back in and get rid of Lemens. I think Lemens is in this side until, if he has a bad run of form, maybe Vitek comes back, maybe this Ellborg comes in and they do Carabao Cup games. This is why it's so important. That we have European games, because the more European games that we have, the more that these players can play. So Ellborg is a goalkeeper. Let's get through these chats. Jamie says, Jamie Vargas, legend. Good morning, JB. Wishing you a happy holiday season. United 3, Everton 1. Elliot Anderson to United. Thank you, my friend. Simon says, surely we wouldn't want more 10s. We have no baritones. I like that. Brickworth says, you never walk alone, you'll never win again. Interesting on that one, and we can talk about that. Zirkzee seems to spend more time on the bench for coming on the last 20-25 minutes. Slot out. Forest fire at Anfield. JB, two more defeats, then we can say goodbye to Slot. He can join Klopp on the Travago ads. That's a low drill. Oh, don't even get me started, mate. The low for Ballon d'Or. Grace is never going to happen. It's very clear. Amorim doesn't rate him like Cheeto. The thing is with Cheeto, look. The thing is with Cheeto, again, he's fucking drilling. He's very, very young. I might see if I can switch over to this because these are blockers, right? Let's see if I can change over to these because that thing is bugging me. Let's see if we can connect. It's not going to let me connect, is it? Honestly, never mind, eh? Well, hopefully he'll shut up. The thing about Cheeto as well, look, Cheeto's a kid. You know, there's a difference. What's happened for me is like Cheeto has come in and, you know, under 16s, under 18s, he's banging them in. He's a big guy. He's 16, 17. Like, he was a big guy. You know, just because you score a load of goals in the under 18s, you know, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good player. And OB, for me, again, I think he needs a loan. There is talk of him going on loan as well. I think OB needs to go on loan. That's just my opinion on it. He's not getting into this side. I think he's too young. I think again, I think there's this misnomer. There's this misconception about people like an OB. People forget the likes of Harry Kane went on loan. People like Harry Kane, and I'm not suggesting that OB is going to be the next Kane, right? But Harry Kane went on loan. Like, we're all scared. Well, I'm not scared, but there's a significant amount of us who were scared to send these players out on loan. You look at Amas, right? You look at Ahmad, right? Amas is gone on loan to the Championship. Physically, he's going to be better. You know, where do you think like some of these great players, they come from the Championship? I think at times we're very, very snobbish. I think most Premier League fans are. We think, oh, the Championship, like they play, was it 48 games, or you know, they play however many games it is, and Amas physically will learn a lot from that. You know, I think the Championship is a very, very difficult league. Send Obi to the Championship, like Harry Kane went to the Championship, Peter Crouch, and I'm not saying again, you know, but some of these Premier League players went to the Championship, so I think send him to the Championship. Scott Liverpool were fry tuck, especially with the new sheriff. Amorim is messing up the youth. I hope we get some of the young loanies back. I heard there was a stat since 1913 we play an academy player every game that we broke that this season as not bringing Manioo. No. No, the stat is no. That's not stat. The stat is we have a youth product on our bench every single game. So it's not that we have an academy player that plays every game. We have an academy player that sits on the bench or part of the first team. So it's not that we have one who plays games. It's one that we have one who's in the first team, and it's not when they play. It's basically when they sit on the bench, effectively. Simon says De Ligt could be a new captain. If I agree with you. Steve says Amorim interview said he used some young players because of the lack of depth, and when you give them the first team minutes, they assume they are established. Agree with you, Steve. Agreed. Just because they play a few games, they think that they've made it, and they haven't. Martinez is butchered. Martinez injury, not impact, not just prone. Netangang Bossy says, hi, hello my friend. Stephanie, legend of the chat. The Welsh legend. Good afternoon, JB. Hope you'll come on. Come on, United. Is there a rest home for past United players? Sign Wes, stating he's a bigger slaphead than Maguire. We need a proper front line attack, speedy wingers. Rohit, we don't play wingers. We don't play wingers, mate. You could have split number 10s. Our wingers are wing backs. I think our mindset needs to change when it comes to attacking players. We play 2 number 10s. You could, and our wingers are wing backs. So we need better wing backs. Yeah, great, Stephanie. I'm 37. I miss the good old days. Yeah. I did what? But yeah. I'm 62 and I missed them too. So I'm a legend, bro. Mark my words, we win 3-0 today. I like that. Buy Vinicius Jr. You might as well say go and buy Mbappe. It's not going to happen, is it? Brickwork says, Simon, my dad is 70. He's a fan all his life. Best reason he became a fan. Born in London. All his friends are Arsenal. And he loved them best. I love it. Agent Ancelotti says, from Senegal, Bramley Moore, we all know Ilman Ndoye is going to score. Ollie. Toffees win 2-0. Ndoye could score tonight. Everton, we've spoken about how they play. We've done a preview from the game as well. So we've done a preview. Everton are going to be very, very compact. They are going to look to get the ball to Ndoye, and they're going to look to Ndoye to use his pace to get some joy. I think Everton are going to be blunt tonight. I think they are going to be quite blunt. And look, stranger things have happened. Unless we capitulate, Everton could score first. Everton will put crosses into the box. Every single team who plays against us put crosses into the box because they know we're crap at that, right? So that is what's going to happen tonight. It's whether or not we can stop that from happening. I think we need to stop that. Supply crosses into the box. Everton's midfield is better than ours. So we need to do something with that midfield. Our pivot is shockingly bad. My problem is that Everton are going to run through that midfield pivot of ours. Stephanie says, like, comment and subscribe. Exactly. Let's have a little look. We're saying United is the team for me. Can't wait to get back up to Old Trafford. Zirkzee or Ivan Toney going to Everton in January. It wouldn't surprise me. I think Zirkzee goes back to Italy on loan. I agree with you. I think send Zirkzee out on loan to the Premier League, because ultimately maybe you bring him back, maybe you don't know. Give him Premier League experience. Go and get him to play, right? Go and get him to play at a West Ham. Go and get him to play at an Everton. Let's see what he's about. Because for me, the jury's out on him. I don't think he's had a fair crack of the whip. Get him out. Manioo, the same. I think Napoli could be the one, but I don't see the benefit of that. I think Manioo needs to go to a Premier League team as well. Let's see what he's about. Give him the game time, loan him out, and let's see if we're wrong. Google is free for information, Scott, and you can't believe everything you see on Google. Just bring back Vitek, just like your new stadium, Scott. You make no sense. You're saying that I like my own club. JS, I have a fan for 51 years. Wow, mate, that's. I love that, my friend. I really, really do. Second loudest stadium in the world, Hill Dickinson. Victory. United. Agent, your second. Simon Lovett, I've been a fan since little highs and lows. I've always been a fan. Remember crying when we won the Champions League. Yeah, I was 15 when we won Champions League. 15, 16, 16. 16 when we won that. It was, I can't even tell you how amazing it was. Just thinking about it now sends the hairs on my neck up. What a game. Leon is like a young butcher in the midfield. I'm sure you won't be at the stadium tonight. How do you know where I'll be? Life in Manchester. JB, I was running around the house shouting and celebrating when we won the treble, mate. The famous words for me still ring true. When it goes and Sheringham, and then the one and Ollie's won it, right, or something like that. I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you that was amazing. No, man, you go into no. I am in the cinema waiting. I didn't have much till the game. Hope for United, of course. I like Harry Amas. He reminds me of a non-injured Luke Shaw. I was born and bred in Manchester. Yeah, you were. DJC as an uninjured Luke Shaw. Our last meeting with Everton was 2-2. Honestly, I just need a win no matter what. Only Olympiacos. Interesting one. There will be a goal or two from Imbumo tonight. Zirkzee to Napoli. You're making your point. Olympiacos. Look, the comments on here, right? You guys support your teams. Get in there, right? Olympiacos are a very historic team. I mean, look, the Greek league, let's be fair, is not the strongest league. But look, I know fans from across the world are passionate about their team, and that's how you should be. I think as a fan from your team, you should absolutely think that you can beat anybody, right? I think that if you don't think that, what are you doing? Right, I every game I've ever played, every game I've ever played in my life of football, anything I do, whether I run, right, so I run like half marathons, 10Ks, I always think I'm going to win. In my mind, I always want to win. I'm never going to win, right? But you have to have that mentality. You've got to. In Burma, Cunha hat-trick, Cunha and Bruno will score tonight. I can't wait. Solskjaer has won it, I think, were the words. That was amazing. Forest Feeder Club, JB also digs trenches. If you know, you know. It's true. It is true. It's true. So let's get on to some of the other news. So the budget in the January window apparently is £110 million. Budget for the January window. We are aiming to reinforce key areas like the midfield in a push for top four. As we've spoken about before, look, when we're talking about PSR, we made a £34 million loss. The limit is £105 million loss. The difference between the two is £63 million. Now, you could probably get that up to 110 million. If you do, I don't know, 10 million, 15 million over 5 years, you could get two £50 million players, right? You could get two £50 million players, 10 million, 15 million each for the next 5 years. That's 50 million a year. That can be done. You can argue that. Realistically, we're not going to do that. Gomes for me could be the one. I still think a Gallagher comes in on loan. I'm pretty convinced on that one. I'm still of the opinion that Gallagher comes in on loan and we don't do anything else. My mind is starting to slightly be changed on the basis that a Gomes, I think, could come in. I think there's too much noise around that, but I'll give you my opinion as to why that can happen and why that can't happen. We score first, then we can overcome Everton, but they're a different side with Grealish in it. If Grealish leaves, then they'll be back to their useless best. We can't sleep on any team. The Premier League is ridiculously competitive, right? Tonight, we've got the competitive edge on the basis that we're at home. But we can't think it's going to be an easy game. In my opinion, this is never a 5-0. You know, you don't know what you get with this side. If we score, look, you know, we went 3-0 up, right? They pegged us back to 3-2. And then the Brighton game. So we were 3-0 up. They pegged us back by 2 goals, and then we scored the winner. You never know what you're going to get. You know, if we fade in the second half again, Everton won't fade. The reason why we fade is because of this pivot. The reason why we fade is because of the pivot. The front three need to come back and do work. Also, we've got players in this side like Casemiro, Luke Shaw, who fade. So they're doing more defensive work. Everton, for me, first half, I'm not concerned. It's the second half. It's that, I think, where we struggle. Grealish, Ndoye, Gay, Dewsbury Hall, Alcaraz in the midfield. Exactly. I can't see Zirkzee going to Everton, though. We loaned Van der Beek to them and he flopped. Well, Neves really need to be a clown to sign for us. I disagree, Barca. He's not going to sign for us. I disagree. We're trying to boot. Look, a Barcelona fan, like what I'm saying is a Barcelona fan having a pop at us when you look at your club. Now, how many levers did you pull because you were out of money? United have never been out of money. We spent it really, really badly and we've got debt. Barcelona, how many levers did they pull? You know, how many shady tactics, how many shady deals did they do? I mean, they couldn't play players because you couldn't afford to register them. You couldn't register players. So I find it funny that a Barcelona fan comes on here and has a pop at us when you were pulling levers galore because you were just about to go out of business. So, you know, I find it very, very hypocritical how some fans from their club forget how poor they were financially. And financially, you're still not great. So, you know, the fact that you're having to get a Lewandowski on a free, you know, the fact that Rashford, you know, you can't pay the value, you know, you're trying to get Rashford on a £22 million deal, you know. So the only thing that you've got for you really at the moment is your name. The same as us. You play in a league that is 2-horse race, pretty much. You know, I don't think you can be hypocritical on this one. Simon says, I think we'll be 2-0 up at half time, park the bus second half and get a third killer. Go late to stop him coming back into the game. Manioo has potential, but Amorim isn't giving him the chance. We'll see. Manioo is young enough to go on loan. These young players think that once they play the season, they get into the England squad, then that's it. They've made it. There's something not quite right about the mentality of Manioo. You know, all I'm going to say on the Manioo thing, right, is if you want to know about Kobe Manioo, right, the Grimsby game, he started the Grimsby game. What was his excuse for the Grimsby game? England international, Premier League player. He can't run a midfield against a Grimsby. That tells you everything that you need to know about this player. Scott says, 3-0 up at half time, score 2 in the second half. I'm going for some lunch. Have a good day. Hope to catch the match. Come on, United. Look, I'll be doing a watch along, Simon, so feel free to come onto the show. Elliot and Anderson again. Look, there's talk about him. Let's go through that as well. United are on the belief that they can sign him for around £60 million. A January move is just not going to happen. United thinking that they can go and sign this player for £60 million. I think they are deluded. It's not going to happen. I think they are in how they think. I get it. I do get it, but I do think in terms of what they think that they can do and what is achievable. This is why, and this goes back to the earlier conversation, right? Is that I think that we go for a Baleba because I think that he's wants to come to us. I think that we can get that deal down to 65 million. Gomes potentially as well. I think the Gomes deal, and I'll give you my opinion as well next as to why I think that we can do that deal. I don't think Steeler comes. Believer is possible 60, not Anderson or Wharton. And I agree with you, Scott. I think the Belabor deal is more than possible. I think the Belabor deal happens. Many reasons for that. I think price. I think Belabor's going to play himself into a deal with us as well. And there's not going to be a bidding war. So the Brighton thing, Angel Gomez. No, it's João Gomes for Wolves. Krista V says, hi. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. So we spoke about Ellborg as well. Now, the other thing that we have done, so there's a another, we're leading the race as well, just to give you all sides of this. So we're leading a race for 17-year-old Irish striker Michael Noonan of Shamrock Rovers. He can't move until he turns 18, but we are looking at building the youth again. I think it's really important as well to talk about the youth players. As much as we're looking for first-team players, it's really encouraging to hear that we're going for these younger players. We're a 17-year-old striker from Shamrock Rovers. I sort of like that move. I really do. And I like that we're bringing in these talk of the devil, legend, Bobby, legend. Hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. So I really like this sort of move for a 17-year-old Shamrock Rovers. I know people are going to turn up their nose. I think he's going to be a good player. Let's get on to the Gomes situation. So, Gomes. I thought it was Dino. Oh, sorry, Dino. Sorry, mate. It's basically because all of your names have all been removed now, and it's all that at bollocks, isn't it? 2 points. Wolves. Hello. Dino. I thought it was Dino, not Bobby. Yes, Bobby lad. Whoever it is, no, I'm Bobby. Yeah, see, I knew it was Bobby. Bobby, legend of the chat. I knew it was Bobby. Legend, my friend. So let's get on to the Gomes from Wolves. So United, in my opinion, I think see him as a cheaper option, right? We looked at some of his stats. I think he's a solid Premier League player. Gomes has just signed a good deal, a long-term deal. So again, very much like a Cunha, to give back and give the value back to Wolves, which I admire. I admire players who want to sort of reimburse or be loyal to a club. You look at what Trent did, right? Trent was pretending to, potentially sign a new deal. Trent didn't, give the value back to the club. Trent went on a pretty much free. Madrid paid a pittance. So it's nice to see that you've got these players. And for me, it shows a loyalty, and these are the players that I like. The ones that will sign a deal. It doesn't help us out, but it's really good in my opinion to see these players who will sign these long deals to give the value back to their clubs. Right, I already like that type of player. We looked at his stats. I think he's a good all-round player. I really do. I think with the Cunha links as well, I think that will be great. There's no release clause in the Gomes contract. Now, what is believed is this: is that, look, when players get relegated, you look at Roy Keane, right? Roy Keane went down with Wolves. We signed him for a pittance. Fantastic player. Now, Wolves have a choice to make here. Strand Larsen is another player that they've got, and him as well. So they are their two major assets that they've got, right? Do they cash in now? Because I think Wolves go down. Do they risk it for a biscuit now and go, look, we're gonna try to stay in this league? I don't think they will. If they go down, these players are going to be worth half, or maybe a third off. So Gomes now worth 44 million. He's gonna go for 30. Right? So do they take that money now? I don't think that they can afford to lose Strand Larsen and him. Do they go, look, well, let's take 40 odd million now. We can maybe look to get sort of more championship players now. We can look to get some players now. Use that money to go and get different players. Cash in on him now, and I do think that that's a possibility. I do think that that's a deal that United can do. When we, and I've spoken about this. When we're talking about our PSR. We've been led to believe that there's £100 million. You can spin it that way. You can completely spin it that way. That there is £110 million there. In actuality, there's the difference between 34 million and 105 million, and there's 64 million to spend in cash, basically. So when you apportion that out, if you're looking at the Gomes deal, you could say to Wolves, look, we'll pay you 15 now, 20 million now, then I'll maybe spread it across deals. Now, maybe Wolves will be happy with that on the basis that they know they've got cash flow into the business for the next 3 to 4 years. So that is what could happen there. I think United have the money available to do the Gomes deal. There is so much noise around this deal now that I do think that, you've got the Baleba deal. I don't think that happens now. I just think that's too much money. Anderson is not silly. Anderson went to Anfield and had a great game. The guy's stock is up there. Imagine if Anderson goes to the World Cup, and in a hypothetical situation, imagine he stars and they win the World Cup. Forget about it. If we don't get Champions League football, at least Anderson, forget about it. He's not going to come. Also, apparently Wolves have promised Rob Edwards, the new coach that they got, that they're not going to sell any players. Now, one of the things to this, the caveat to this, is that Wolves are fighting for their lives. How confident are they? Are they prepared to take a risk? Your accent is like mice stuck in my ear canal. Beer up. I'm not going to swear. If this was a late show, I would tell you to F off. Do it. Don't be here. Feel free to F off. I've got no time for it. I mean, your comment is of that somebody who is an absolute idiot, a moron. This is free. You don't have to be here. I don't care. If my voice hurts your ears, good. Make sure you put my voice up to your ear. So please, I really hope that my voice annoys you. Put the phone up to your ear. Feel free to go. If not, you'll be banned. So I really don't care. So if you don't like it, feel free to, F off. So, I don't know what that is, my friend. Save money for the summer. Squad is big enough. We only got Prem and FA Cup. I think that's a valid point. I do think that's a valid point. But my only observation on that would be, if Manioo goes on loan, if Zirkzee goes on loan, Casemiro, we've got 10 games, right? And look, I know we can't sign a player until the 10 games are up. But what sort of state is this squad going to be after 10 games? Casemiro is not gonna last the whole season. Fernandes, I think Fernandes is going to get fatigued as well. I think we need players. I do think that we need players. Stephanie says, yeah, guys, get on the likes. Don't rise to trolls. Not worth it, mate. Look, the reason why I do sometimes is, look, people want to troll, right? And I want people to know that I read comments, right? And if somebody wants to troll, they make themselves look like an idiot. I'm happy to call it out. I don't think that anybody should take abuse. And as I say, if you give it to me, I'm going to give it back. But you guys, I love the fact that you defend the channel and you defend me as well. So look, guys, legends of the chat. Serious Soccer Fan says, I still back Liverpool to finish above United in the table at the end of the season. So you should. Look, I'm not silly right now to think that, look, we could go on a run of games whereby we don't win games. Liverpool equally. All I'm going to say about that is wait for the end of the 10 games. Let's wait for the next 10 games. Liverpool could suddenly come. Look, Liverpool have got fantastic players. Liverpool have got some fantastic players. Can Liverpool realistically play themselves into form? I don't know. The fact that they're losing at home, are Liverpool capable of going on a 10-match run and win every game? Of course they are. They've got Vert, they've got Ekitike, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Isak, Robertson, Van Dijk. They've got every chance. And now I would put them favourites above us to finish in the top 4. And that's why it will be even more of a worse season if Liverpool don't. So this is why I think comments like that, and I'm not calling the comment out, I think comments like that could come back to haunt you on the basis that Liverpool should be finishing above us. It would just go to show how bad of a season that Liverpool are having and could potentially have if people predict that. So there is no expectation. Look, United almost have a free hit this season, because people are not expecting much. I've said we'll finish between 8th and 10th. Anything above that is a bonus, and I think that's a successful season on the basis that we would finish 15th last season. So I think it's a free hit for us. When does the FA Cup start? January. Alan Manning 3rd round games yet. You'll never walk again. Good afternoon, Bart. Yeah. Cheers. I think we should be saying to Brighton about a swap for Baleba and Kobe to the end of the season. Makes a lot of sense for both clubs. No one is buying Baleba in the summer. Interesting actually. I'll go one step further on that. I'll go one step further, right? I say you agree a price with Green and Gold says hi. Welcome, my friend. I don't mind that idea, actually. I'll go one further, right? I think that United should agree an option to buy because they know that no one's going to come in and buy him. They know the player wants to go until it's sold 100%. Yeah. I'm of the opinion that I think that what we should do is agree a price, get Belabor in first, so it's a try before you buy. Kobe Mainoo can go the other way again, maybe an option to buy. I don't know, but send them out on loan as a sweetener, and we go, look, we will try before we buy. Give us an obligation, maybe not. Sorry, an option to buy, and give it a trial. Everybody wins, and if he then becomes a great player again, then guess what? They get their money. If not, we've tried, and they get the player back. So I think he's young enough to come again. So I think as an opinion, I don't disagree. Kartik says, how's it going, mate? Look, I'm fantastic, and I hope you are too. Doubts about Cunha's availability today. Zirkzee could start. I think that Cunha should be fine today. Do I think Zirkzee starts? If Mason Mount is fit, no. I think Ahmed could play there. He wearing a United shirt. Yes, I am. I think, my friend, that Ahmad plays. I think Ahmad plays in that position. I think Mazraoui could come in as a wing back. So look, I don't think that Zirkzee comes in and plays. I just don't think he does. So look, guys. I mean, I'm going to go. I'm doing a watch along tonight for the game, and then immediately after I'll be doing my match reaction to the game as well. So hopefully you can join me for that tonight as well. So look, have a good rest of your morning, day, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it, guys. You are all legends of the chat, and I really do appreciate it. All the likes, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff, guys. You make the channel amazing, and I can only thank you so much. So look, I'll be back this evening. I really hope that you can join me for the watch along tonight. You don't need to go to the bigger channel. You can just leave them to it and come here and look, be part of this amazing community. Alan says, first time here, I'll sub. Well played. Thank you, my friend. I love new people that join. You guys are fantastic, and look, the one thing that we do here is that we do read your comments, and this chat is fantastic. So look, thank you so much for being here. Have a good rest of your day, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, guys. I'll be back this evening. I've been JB, and I'll see you tonight. Take care, and I'll see you later.